everyone, welcome back to Working Moms Easy Meals. I'm Margarita Amplo with MCA Consulting, and we have a special guest today, Hallie Steinberg. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
And today we're going to make a salad in a jar, right?
Yep.
Awesome. And the reason why I thought this would be a great idea is for us working moms, even working dads that are working from home, you still don't have the time sometimes to make a really great meal because you're constantly on one Zoom after another.
Mm-hmm.
So having something like this prepped in the fridge, ready to go, is a perfect idea. And you can pretty much add anything else, anything that you want in it. So tell me a little bit about what it is that we're adding here to the different jars.
So, well, in general, salad jars can be as creative as you want them to be. You basically pick the ingredients based on what you like to eat. And so here you see Margarita chose a lot of different colors. We're all about eating the colors of the rainbow. Very important to get all those different colors in of our fruits and vegetables. So we have the greens with our leafy greens. We have some spinach mixed in, a nice spring mix. She has the cucumbers. She kept the skin on, which is added nutrition. That dark green, very important. We have red peppers, which are fantastic.
Red peppers,
great for vitamin C. And also our tomatoes, also great with vitamin C, among other things like lycopene and all these other great things. We have the red onions. So we have a lot of red, which is nice. For the protein element and the complex carbs as well, we have the chickpeas. Chickpeas are actually a complete protein. So they're a great source for a protein. And we have some of our seeds to get some of those omegas in, sunflower seeds. You can also add nuts. There's a lot of things, and we can talk about that. A lot of great things you can be adding. And then for dressing, Margarita likes to have very simple red wine vinegar and some extra virgin olive oil. And the beauty of salad in a jar is the flexibility and the ease that you mentioned. They usually can last a couple days. Some people can say even up to 5 days. I say 2 to 3 days. You just want it to be as fresh as possible. But the beauty is they're convenient, easy to eat. They're easily contained. So you can bring them places, mix them up. And there's a couple variations that you can do. So depending on whether you're going to include the dressing or if you're going to keep the dressing separate. So Margarita wanted to add the dressing. So we're going to do that first. The first layer will be dressing. Now I'll go through that. Now if we decide that you didn't want dressing added, I'll go over at the end just really quickly some of the different layers you would do a little bit different order. So why don't we start with your extra virgin olive oil.
Do we need to measure anything?
Well, that's up to you. I'm not really sure in terms of the dressing. I wouldn't go more than a teaspoon personally, or a tablespoon, depending on how much dressing you like. Less can be more, especially because some of it, the fruit, is going to be sitting in it. Exactly, it's like marinating. So I would do 1 teaspoon or tablespoon. I love the fact that Margarita has extra virgin olive oil, which is the first press of the olives, so you're getting the most nutrition. You're getting the most antioxidants with the extra virgin olive oil. All other olive oils are not necessarily the first press. They could be the 3rd, 4th. So that's why extra virgin olive oil is really important to get for the most nutrition. And we have the red wine vinegar.
About the same amount?
Yeah, I would do about a teaspoon as well. And some people might add some seasoning, or you could add potentially some salt, pepper, really to taste. I also have a bunch, on that website that we were talking about, has a bunch of different recipes for dressings. So you can be creative.
A little bit more creative.
Or as simple. Now, if that's not enough, when you mix, you can always add more in. Right. So really, I tend to go less is more, and then you can always add more.
And then I'll put a little bit of salt.
Yeah, just a little seasoning is always a nice add-on. But like I said, you'd rather do less, because if you have too much, not only does the dressing get soggy, but you're tasting only dressing.
Right.
So
I don't use too much salt, so I just
terrific. And and now when I look at this, right now it doesn't look like much, but like I said, especially with the vinegar, which is quite strong, it should be good. All right, so now that we have the dressing on the bottom, we need to get things that won't be affected too much, get too soggy from that dressing. So since we did dressing first, the next layer is going to be things that can be, if you think of, can be pickled or marinated in vinegar, let's say, or something that would withstand some kind of dressing and not become mush.
Right.
So things like, we would do things like carrots. You could even do tomatoes, especially if they're not cut. Okay. So why don't we put in some tomatoes at this point? Okay. You can do cucumbers. I would wait to the next level. But things that are a little bit harder that kind of can withstand that.
Right.
A lot easier for the bottom layer. And basically put in as much fruits and vegetables that you like. We could have cut these cherry tomatoes, but because we don't know when we're going to be eating it, I thought it would be better if we didn't cut them. Right. But if you have regular tomatoes, you can certainly cut them, and then I would not necessarily put that on the first layer just because they don't have that impermeable barrier. Yeah, so I would do cucumbers next. And once again, we're just going to add to your liking. And you can do so many different types of vegetables. You could put asparagus, you could put broccoli, you can put all types of leafy greens. You can do different types of toppings, so seeds, nuts. You could even put, eventually we'll go to that level, the protein source. You can use chicken, turkey, whatever you like to have. We have the chickpeas here. Mm-hmm. You can put eggs, and those are going to be more of the top layers. Mm-hmm. So once again, just keeping in mind with your dressing.
And this was just one larger cucumber.
One large cucumber.
Yeah.
Right. Now, some people like the dressing, kind of making things a little soggy. You know,
right.
When I make a kale salad, I find kale can be, sometimes harder to digest, but also harder to eat sometimes.
Right,
so I like my dressing sitting with the kale. I think it makes it more tender. So it's really your options.
Would I put peppers in next?
Yes, I would do definitely peppers next. And we used red. You can use any coloring that you want. We can chop it to your level of, what you like. And, in terms of freshness, right now we're going into the summer season soon. So things are at their peak freshness. Sometimes, as if we're in the winter time, it's not always as easy to get produce. So sometimes you have to be creative. Some people will use canned vegetables. I prefer frozen over canned.
So you've done frozen vegetables and fruit for this, or no?
Well, not so much in a salad in a jar, but just in general, I'm talking more seasonal produce.
Right.
You could, you can do, I'm thinking frozen broccoli, if you defrost it, and kind of put it maybe more at room temperature, and not too soggy, get rid of some of that moisture, then it could work. All right, and I would do next would be the onions.
And this was it's a half of a large onion, I guess it was,
And that's to taste. Some people, also depending on who you'll be with.
Right.
In terms of, do you want,
this is really good for you, the onion, the red onion. So.
Fantastic. And I love that, once again, the coloring of the produce that Margarita chose was really great, really ripe.
And I never loved red onions until, say, a few years ago. Seriously, it's just, I just have a liking towards it. I do too. Yeah. Rather than the regular, yellow onion. And
I love that you chop them up so small because you get the taste, but it's not overbearing.
And we use the Pampered Chef food chopper for that.
Yes, we absolutely did. All right, so next I would say do your chickpeas. So once again, we're doing some of the produce that's not going to get so soggy, and then we're going to do as we go on. So we're going to get to more of the carbs and the proteins. So our protein right now is the chickpeas here. If you have egg, this is the time that you would do the egg. You can do chicken, whatever you might want to do. This would be the layer for that. You can have fun with it. And I suggest you explore because there are different ways of doing things. It might be nice to do a salad with the dressing and one without, and then try and see how you like it.
Right.
But chickpeas are a terrific protein source. And then from there, we can do nuts. So we'll talk a little bit about omegas. So seeds and nuts are great for those omegas, the fatty acids that are really great for joint health, brain health, eye health.
Right. Got my
among other
sunflowers
things.
Here.
Yeah.
So is it ever too much or too little?
Well, I mean, that's
what do you think?
at this point it's taste. You know,
Yeah.
I like to do like a teaspoon, but it depends on how crunchy you want.
Right.
So it's really up to your taste level.
A couple bunches here.
Yeah, a couple, you know, a teaspoon or a couple handfuls, whatever you like to do, but it will give it a nice crunch.
We went ahead and just added the greens. That was the last step. Put the lids on, and this is what it looks like, which is pretty. It's pretty.
Right, and it's beautiful. The leafy greens that you had were the spinach and some spring mix. You had arugula, a couple different lettuces in there. I always like to say you want the lettuces that have the greens, really dark greens. Those are going to have the most nutrients. The other thing you can add besides some of the additional ingredients you can have, and remember, you can look up many different recipes. There's so many different ideas. If you wanted some kind of fruit, if you wanted to add an apple or pears, or avocado, you want to coat that with lemon or lime to keep it fresh. It will turn brown if you don't, so that's also to keep that in mind, and that would be towards the top layer. And if you don't have the dressing, let's say you're not doing dressing, you're going to keep your dressing separate, I would recommend putting the heavier things on the bottom and going up based on weight. So the pastas, the chicken, the proteins, things like that, the grains, and then go up basically by weight, because then you don't have to worry about the dressing so much.
Okay, great.
But it's beautiful. You can reuse it based on how much you eat. A couple days in the refrigerator. I recommend marking it when you made it, so that you'll know how fresh it is. But very convenient and fun. And use those colors. Get as many varieties of colors. All the colors of the rainbow, as many as you can get in, and change it up every week or whenever you do it to get that variety, which is really important.
Well, great, Hallie. If you wouldn't mind, tell everyone what exactly it is that you do as a business and how you can help other people as well with their nutrition.
Sure. I have a health coaching business. I'm a certified health coach. I'm also a special ed teacher, so I work a lot with children. My business is Hallie's Healthy Living, and I focus on the 4 pillars of health. Lean, the LEAN acronym, which is lifestyle, exercise, attitude, and nutrition. So those 4 pillars are what I work with for people of all ages. And I help people live their healthiest life, either through lifestyle changes, adding more fruits and vegetables. I also sell Juice Plus, which is a whole food concentrate to help people, especially those picky eaters, get more varieties of fruits and vegetables. And I help people with gardening. I'm a big gardener, and I love helping people, especially families, learn to grow their own produce.
Great. Well, I'll include your contact information on the video below. But thanks again for joining us today, and I hope you guys enjoyed this week's episode. If you can please like and share and subscribe, we would greatly appreciate it, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.